18 acts featured at the London Eurovision Party with 7 wiwibloggers on ground. 3 are on the sofa: Jonathan Vortney, Angus Quinn, and Devon Aderemi, wiwibloggs.com. We are going to give you the juice, the tea, and we are going to spill it from who we love to who we hate. Are you ready for this moment? Let's do this! Right. Wow, what a great show. I must admit, apart from just seeing the Eurovision acts, and there were lots of them, there were 18, Iceland didn't show up for some reason. Suri was there, IQ were there, Anna Bergendahl was there, Holly Tandy from You Decided. What a great show. What was your first impression of the show, Angus?
Fantastic. I mean, actually, I think, we've been at this show for umpteen years, and normally you have a lot of winners, but also a lot of losers. You have people who you come out of the show and you're like, oh, there are problems or concerns. And actually this year, the loser side is the hard bit. I don't actually think it's that easy to come to acts that perform badly. If anything, tonight, across the board elevation, generally speaking, with a few notable exceptions.
And of course, Jonathan, you didn't actually even miss a minute because you were filming most of the performance, actually all the performances. What was your first reaction?
I thought overall the show was really good from start to finish. I think, there are obviously a few that we'll talk about that rose above the rest of the pack. But I think definitely everyone upped their game. No one gave a terrible performance. We can't say that anyone is now completely out of the running. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think overall it was a slick show.
Absolutely, but of course it is Eurovision Song Contest. It is a competition.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get you to narrow down who your top 3 of the night.
All right. Do you want all 3 at once, or do you want one by one, or how do you want to do it?
Give me all 3 at once.
All right, so I have 3 that absolutely, I think, stood out from the cut for me. 4 different reasons. Number 1, Duncan Lawrence, the Netherlands. I couldn't be touched tonight. That was totally fantastic.
Absolutely.
Italy, Mahmood, I have to say as well, came out of it as one of my winners. See, the third is hard because I am torn between 2 acts, but I will say Mickey from Spain.
Wow.
Won me over because I've been on record as saying we did the We Jury videos a few days ago. I did not like the new revamp, didn't think it was great. Tonight, had no issues.
Wow.
Totally smashed it out of the park.
You see, as much as I agree with you, my top 3 are slightly different. Who are your top 3 tonight?
So in third place, I would probably put Norway. That was they completely smashed it out of the park. They got one of the biggest reactions of the audience.
Yeah, that was astronomical.
Okay.
Obviously, their sort of dance anthem is sort of a good place to have in a club. Mm-hmm. It fits well with the vibe. But yeah, I think they gave a really energetic performance, and it just sort of blew the whole crowd away. Mm-hmm. Number 2, I would put France Bilal. This was just in terms of it being much better than Destination Eurovision. The vocal was definitely a step up, and actually he performed 2 songs, another one of his new singles as well, and he gave so much energy and sass and passion in that performance. I want to see more of that Bilal. Mm-hmm. I want him to give more of that in Roy as well. So in terms of improvement, I put France second, and then first I am going with Mickey from Spain.
Oh, muy bien.
That was the party did not start until Mickey took to the stage.
Absolutely.
You can, as great as all the other acts before him were.
There weren't that many. Elliot was the only one from
was the
2019
who
performed
one.
before
we
him.
had the sort of previous alumni of Eurovision, but that really got the party started. You could sort of tell, since he got one of the big party poppers and confetti and everything, that he was sort of designed by the show producers to be a standout. But I think he delivered an amazing performance. And now a lot of acts at London Eurovision Party, they perform a second song as well.
Yes.
He was, I would say, the only act that got the whole crowd on board with his second song that literally no one had heard before.
One had heard of.
It was the first one that he actually performed, and people still went crazy for it. And I am really happy with that performance, yeah.
See, I'm going to do what Jonathan did and give you chronology as well.
Oh,
so I'm going
well,
to say, kick it off. In my third position, Mickey. Mickey blew me away. There was a lot of energy there. There was a lot of passion. Sang both songs in Spanish, including his Eurovision entry. Again, echoing what you said, nobody knew the songs, but it didn't matter because he was there. And we all just loved the energy and the Iberian passion and flavour that he was bringing into it.
Iberian fire.
In runner-up position, Bilal. Oh my God, when he took the stage and he said, "I am me." Oh wow, from that moment onwards, it was like I was watching the story unfold, and it was so deep, so personal, and yet so relatable, something that I felt so familiar.
Yeah.
And he's just so kind, you know. His mother came on stage as well.
Yes.
It was just, wow. France really blew me away tonight. But if I had to put my money on...
the last time that happened?
Wow. If I have to put my money on an act, it's Lake Malawi.
Oh.
God, those Czech boys, Jerome and Albert. Friend of a friend of a friend. Do you know what I like about it? It centered London Eurovision Party. I felt like more than any act, it felt like this was like a UK act doing their thing. It just kind of felt like these were London boys, you know, kind of doing a gig in there. It was so cool. It was so sassy. And it was just like so fresh. And that freshness was kind of kept right through, even though they were the third act to perform. It's interesting because Spain was second, Czech was third. And really, you know, they're emerging as our favourites. But of course, Eurovision can't be Eurovision without having the losers in the pack as well.
That's true.
Was a hard one tonight, actually, because so many acts upped their game. But kicking it off with you, Jonathan, who were the ones that didn't quite measure up for you?
I would say the two acts that least inspired me were Austria and Ireland.
Okay, tell us why.
Austria, Panda is a great singer. She's got a great voice. She followed Darude and Sebastian Raymond, which was like a big crowd pleaser, got everyone dancing, and then it just sort of fell a bit flat when she came on and did Limits. The crowd, I don't think, was feeling it as much. It was sort of one I could see people maybe going and checking their phones.
That's interesting. That's when I actually moved closer to the stage because the lights turned blue and there was just this really delicate fragility. And she performed two songs and she totally switched it up with the second number and went really... It was actually quite a cool song. I think it's on Evolution, isn't it?
It's on her new album.
Yeah. And what did you think of Panda?
I mean, it's funny you say you're able to get close to the stage because I wonder why that was. Was it perhaps the crowd thinning out of touch? No, I fully get what Jonathan's talking about because I think while she was vocally perfect and fantastic, that is just the quieter song that we need to see the staging at rehearsals because it's kind of thing it's not going to make sense till we get there. And tonight it did not have impact. That did fade into fact. And also, I thought Panda came across far keener on the album track than she did the Eurovision song. It was like, I was with wiwiblogger Tom Hendrick, and he was talking about it and said it felt like she just wanted to get Limits out of the way and get on to the album track. So I don't know whether it's like, is she keener on one than the other? Is that what she wants to do? But, you know, and there were a few acts tonight who have got kind of album songs that they brought with them that actually kind of seem to compare much more favourably against the songs they're sending to Eurovision.
Oh, that's true. Actually, Bilal performed Jealous as well. But I think, you know, Ra is much stronger. And Jonathan, who's the second person that didn't measure up for you?
It was Ireland for me.
Oh, that's interesting.
She sort of seemed to get lost a bit. There were times where she'd stop singing, but she didn't hand the mic to the crowd, so it was a bit like, has she forgotten the words? Does she not know what she's doing?
I think she tripped at one point, didn't she?
She did definitely stumble over a verse. I don't know what happened, but there was like a good count of 8 where she wasn't singing. And it was like, I mean, maybe she did trip actually.
I think she tripped.
Yeah, it was definitely was not the smoothest performance. Hopefully she can build on things and, you know, smooth things out for Eurovision. But yeah, out of tonight, it didn't really stand out.
Yeah.
Oh. And you, Angus?
I mean, I think we've got to talk about Poland. This is the elephant in the room. You know, we've seen acts come in years gone by who come with playback. I mean, like Jana Berczewska, Macedonia, and has been ever since. And tonight, the playback was quite obvious for Tulia. I mean, they may have been singing along the work when it sounded like it was, but it just... This is a live concert event. If you're going to sing live at Eurovision,
if you're going to show up, actually.
Yeah, you should. If you show up, you should be singing live on the road.
I agree.
And I mean, that's a big red flag for me, because why aren't the delegation letting them sing live if they can do it? Like Amsterdam, I mean, I haven't seen the footage. I can't remember. I can't remember who I was talking to, but someone was like, perhaps we need to review the footage from that, because was it live then? But certainly tonight, that was playbacks. That was an anticlimax, because they came out of a big dramatic thing, but they were one of the only acts tonight who weren't fully singing live, so I think that was problematic, and kind of a loser for me for that reason. Also, I do think Latvia's carousel sort of faded into the background, was not quite the magic roundabout, was just a roundabout, and like, pretty song, beautiful, but similar in a way to Austria, sort of lost in the mix, and you do wonder in their semi-final, I can't remember who they're singing in between, but you do sort of wonder about that song's appeal and how it's going to fare. So that, I think, that was problematic as well, I thought. And yeah, like I don't really have anyone. Ireland's an interesting one, because I think she had problems, but I don't know if that was just of her own making or if there were accidents going on with it.
I don't know. Ireland wasn't too bad for me. Mine are quite similar to yours. I think Poland's Tulia for me was a little disappointing, because I was really excited and looking forward to hearing that live. The white voice, it's about the voice, isn't it? It's not about the dubbing. So yeah, I would have liked to have heard them live.
And that's the adjective. Disappointment is that's the adjective you use, because it's not that they were bad. It's just, because evidently, I mean, over playback, nobody could be bad, because you sound fantastic. That's the nature of backing track. But just kind of missed opportunity.
Absolutely. And Latvia, for me, whilst they did improve considerably, because they were not just live vocally, they were live instrumentally as well. It's just not a song that I feel fits the vibe, and that could just be because they're sandwiched between songs that have lots of high energy, so there's an automatic dip, which is not necessarily their fault, but to program a song like that in a much wider mix, it kind of loses grip. Having said that, I thought they were amazing tonight. I thought Sweden got the loudest cheer tonight. Sweden, John Lundvik got the loudest applause.
Norway was pretty phenomenal. All credit to them, Kino. They have been plugging the hell out of that song, and the feedback was ecstatic. That was, I mean, Sweden was well and good, there wasn't, but Norway was another level. That was the biggest cheer of the night.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely Norway was obviously up there with the UK being the home crowd. But yeah, Norway, the place just erupted after they performed.
But I mean, the other thing was, people were leaving the venue by the time the UK came on, whereas Norway got full pelt, everyone was into it, and also, everyone was singing along, everyone was yoiking. That was such an arena moment. And I mean, that explosion was, I mean, even like Netherlands, Italy, these songs are the hot kind of critical favourites, as we talk about, didn't touch it. I mean, hats off to Tom, Alexandra and Fred from Kino. That was another level. They were fantastic.
Phenomenal.
The reception. Actually, I mean, they should really be in my winners as well. I don't rank mine, I just have 4. They'd all be my winners if it were up.
I tell you who really impressed me, Albania's Jonida Milici. That was
release the eagle, honey.
My God, that eagle has flown the nest. She turned up in a Burberry jumpsuit and just belted it out. It came from her diaphragm and it was just pouring out of her. And it was, for me, a really magic moment that was taking flight as she was singing. It just felt like, wow.
Yeah. I think, considering she came after Norway as well, which we said got the biggest cheer, for her to then pull out a stunning performance is testament to her to follow, the biggest act.
Absolutely. Denmark's Leonora, for me, was just like, okay, it was sweet and middling. She had a little red sort of soft hat.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the cap, because she's got lovely hair, so I don't know why she's hiding it. I mean, I really like Denmark. I'm on record as saying it. I do like Love is Forever. And I think It's an easy sing-along song. I think that is the kind, and actually, I think very similar to last year. I could see that doing terribly well on Televote and not very well with the jewelries, and kind of understand why that happened. But I think Denmark is sort of wolf in sheep's clothing. I've got that the right way around. Yes. Yeah, like deceptively dangerous. I think. I actually thought, because that of the songs that people sang along to, you know, it wasn't really kind of the islands, the songs that you expect it to be, and Denmark was certainly one of those that the crowd was going for.
What did you think of Victor Krone's look in a blade? He looked really formal.
I mean, he rocked it. He came to the stage, and you know, everyone was dancing along. Once that beat drops, it was his crowd, and he was just getting everyone on board. So yeah, I think he did reasonably well. I wouldn't say that he disappointed by any means.
No, but you know, he had a really slow start, and then he took out his in-ear and he just came to life. It was almost like that was making him so rigid.
Yeah, and well, actually, I mean, we both said this. Almost everyone tonight seemed to have a problem with in-ears. There was a lot of fiddling around with ears and taking stuff out, which you don't know how much that would have hurt people or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that is the thing to try and work out of Estonia this year. Is, you know, in that semi-final, that run of songs, there is a big load of WTF songs, and then there is Estonia's serviceable radio pop, and it's really hard to read what people are going to respond well to. Is it going to be, you know, this Stig Rasta track that we have heard before, but equally has this chart ready of each sound that's very relatable? Is it, you know, the Icelands, the Australias, the Portugals of the world? And actually tonight, Victor Krone, I think, really upscaled it. You know, he had he was something straight out of a Zara catalogue. He looked suave. Yeah. He knew what he was doing. I mean, like Summer Collection 19. He had the, and actually, I mean, in a very similar way to, you know, the Norways, the Swedens, he got people going, but he's an upbeat songs that is easier to do than the ballads tonight.
Yeah.
And really, the truth of it, back to Duncan Lawrence, I have to say, is Arcade was the ballad that people sang along to tonight and got, where other ballads were like an opportunity to run to the bar or a moment of quiet. He had everyone in that place's rapt attention.
I tell you who really surprised me was Lithuania's Jury Juice.
Oh.
Because I don't like the song still, but I love his voice. I really like his voice. He was throwing down a lot of falsetto tonight, and I thought, you got a little bit of swag. You got, you know, there was something in him, and he was just saying, I love it, his opening line, you know, feel free to love anybody. I was like, girl.
I mean, I think he came after the Netherlands.
Yeah, and just before the home crowd, Michael Rice.
Yeah, so I was a bit like, okay, let's just get through Lithuania and then onto the UK, which would be the big one. I mean, I'm pretty sure that my jury score for the Netherlands got dropped for being the lowest. You can wait and see what that is. It's not too low. I think I seem to be the only person in the world that has yet to develop an emotional connection to this song. So I enjoyed it. I wasn't singing along. You know, obviously busy filming or whatever. But yeah, I can understand why everyone is loving this. But for me personally, it is still a bit of a middling one for me, and hopefully staging will help me develop that connection and for me to understand the story more. I'm probably the downer when it comes to Netherlands.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess that's what we think. But what do you think
about Finland? Because we should talk about Darude and Sebastian Raymond, because their professionalism
that was on
scale.
Fire. That was absolutely on fire. I mean, Superman was the opening track they did, and then they followed with Look Away, and they got the whole crowd dancing. And I love the way they said, well, we've got all these countries you're going to hear from, so we won't kind of fade this out to the end, because they're used to doing dance festivals, used to doing like 2-hour-long sets of just party music. That was great. What did you think of Finland?
I thought Finland was really good. It was because London Eurovision Party is sort of split into 3 acts.
Yeah.
So they opened the 3rd act, and it was a great way to get people back into the show. Delivering a national final performance that most people know rather than a random album track that no one has ever heard of before. I think was a good way to step into their then Eurovision entry, Look Away. It was definitely a great upbeat moment, and everyone was dancing along. I think the one act we haven't mentioned so far is Belgium.
Elliot, he opened the show.
Yeah, God. I mean, there were lots of comments after Eurovision and concert. There were lots, and actually about lives. And tonight I thought total confidence, sounded fantastic. He knows his, because I think back to Blanche in 2017, and she came, and that wasn't a mitigated disaster. She didn't know.
They are friends.
I know, but in fairness, we said this at the time, and Woodstock, was nervous. I don't know if she was on playback, but just like there wasn't charisma there. She didn't know what she was doing. There were problems. And I came out to him, similar young performer.
I don't think it was playback, because the vocals was one of the issues that we talked about.
Or regardless, there were problems. But with Elliot, same songwriter. The guy has charisma. He knows what he's doing. I think he sounded really good. And in such a tall order to open the show, difficult to do. And he took it in stride. He came out, nailed a song, which is like, everyone please, if you'd be willing. He's so humble as well, which is really, he's just like, if you'd be up for it, please put your arm in it. And of course we're all bloody raising our fists because he's fabulous. So I thought Belgium was really sweet, really humble, and he knows what he's doing and sounded fantastic, I have to say.
For me, I was really excited to see him on stage because it signaled the start of the Eurovision season. Okay, these songs are now coming to life. The acts are right here. Israel is round the corner.
Yeah.
We've come to fight over you. Literally.
Yeah. I think he gave a much better live performance that we've seen from him in the past, and some of the radio show live performances he's done in Belgium. I think he seemed a lot more confident on stage. He's done a few performances now. He's getting with the crowd, getting them along with it. And I think if he can, keep up this upward trajectory, he's not necessarily a dead cert qualifier yet, but he's sort of slowly getting there.
Tell us about Michael Rice.
Oh yeah.
Michael Rice so he came on and he's been ill for the past couple of days.
Yeah.
And if this is what he's going to sing like when he's ill, look out for what he's going to sing like when he's not ill, because he killed Bigger Than Us. Obviously, it's the home crowd and everyone is behind him. Everyone was singing along, but he blew that out of the water. And Scott Mills came on beforehand and introduced Michael, saying that he has possibly one of the best vocals of this year's competition, which I think is he's definitely up there and contending for that. So I think it was nice to see him centered. Obviously at the national final performance he was doing a lot of random arm movements and walking around the stage.
Yeah.
It was nice to see him centered in one place and just connecting with the crowd in front of him, and I think he delivered a great performance.
And Angus, you snapped something quite special from the balcony. Tell us about it.
No, it was so sweet. It just clocked. Well, actually, several people clocked John Lundvik kind of looking on as proud daddy with son performing on stage, doing this. And I think that's so sweet as a moment to record. But yeah, I think, Michael has come, considering that was him sick, it's very true to say, he does have a fantastic voice. Actually, I thought, compared to You Decide, I don't know if they've been working on the stagecraft or honing it, but he looked so much more at home with his stagecraft. There was commitment, which is the thing that I said, was it all felt a bit limp at the national final. And this was, he's hitting his stride at the right time. We often talk about this. Equally, London Eurovision Party is hard because it is the home crowd, so it is way more favourable than you will get elsewhere. But I thought he acquitted himself very well. Okay, right, I'm considering he's sick. Very good, because there would be acts who would have used playback if they were feeling sick.
Yes.
And done that to cover. And he didn't. He sang live. He did one of his album tracks. very stirring show closer. So he did himself proud tonight.
And for me, what I took away from that was that he's made Bigger Than Us his song, really. Because Holly Tandy performed that song before him. And when he came on and performed it, it didn't sound like I'd actually heard it that evening.
Yeah.
So he spun it quite well. But you know what? This video could take forever, and we girls need to deliberate
Yes, we do.
outside of this forum.
And we need to go to bed because it's almost midnight.
It's past
school night,
It's
honey.
past midnight, honey. But collectively, that's what we think. What do you think? Who were your winners of the night? Who were your losers? All the films are uploaded on our YouTube channel, and of course wiwibloggs.com, where we're running lots of posts and writing individual stories. The interviews are up. Check out our social media on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. And that's it. Jonathan Vortney, Angus Quinn, Debon Aderami, we love you, and we will see you later.
Bye.